Welcome, boxing fans, to Unbiased Boxing Talk, where we cover all the latest news in the fight game. In this video, I want to talk about Vergil Ortiz Jr., the recent prospect of the year by the Ring magazine, and I want to talk about him and his upcoming fights in 2020, and especially a fight between him and Keith "One-Time" Thurman. Golden Boy Promotions says that Vergil Ortiz is going to be fighting 4 times in 2020. They're going to march him up the rankings, and they're going to use the same frequent fighting plan that that was used with Gennady Golovkin, and that turned him into a 160-pound star. And they're going to do the same with Vergil Ortiz Jr. To turn him into a star at 147 pounds. Vergil Ortiz Jr. has been really improving. He had wins over 3 opponents, knockout wins over 3 guys who have never been stopped in their careers. A guy, Mauricio Herrera, who gave guys like Danny Garcia a run for their money, who I thought should have beaten Danny Garcia. Of course, this is a shot, Mauricio Herrera, not a prime Mauricio Herrera, but still a guy that's never been stopped before, a guy that's really crafty, a veteran, and a guy that gives anyone problems. His next fight, he had a knockout win over Antonio Orozco, a guy that went 12 rounds with Jose Ramirez, and his latest win was a knockout win over Brad Solomon, a guy with an amateur background who's never been stopped before in his career. And Vergil Ortiz has been looking really good recently. He says that he wants Keith Thurman in 2020. He thinks it's a good step-up fight for himself, and he thinks it's a very winnable fight. His father has also said that the top welterweight should fight him now rather than later, and that they should want to get Vergil Ortiz now rather than in a few years when he's in his prime. Personally, I think that before he fights a guy like Keith Thurman, I think that he needs to fight another top 10 rated welterweight, a guy like Sergey Lipinets or even a Kavalauskas. I think both of those fights would be good for him. I think they're both really good step-up fights for him. Vergil Ortiz is only 21 years old. He's far from his prime right now. We see the same what happened with Canelo when he fought Floyd Mayweather. He wasn't ready for that level yet. And I don't think Vergil Ortiz is ready for a guy like Errol Spence or another top welterweight right now. I do believe a Keith Thurman fight would be the best for him out of all the top welterweights, but I think that he still needs to take a few more step-up fights, and maybe in a year or two, then he could fight a top welterweight like Danny Garcia, even though I don't think Danny Garcia would want to get in the ring with him, or Manny Pacquiao or any of the other top guys. I think the Keith Thurman fight's really winnable for him, though. I believe Keith Thurman's a little bit chinny. You see a guy like Josecito Lopez rocks Keith Thurman. He gets hurt to the body by a guy like Luis Collazo. I think that Ortiz's power is too much for Keith Thurman. I believe he'd hurt him to the body. I believe he'd end up stopping Keith Thurman. But I also think it's a very dangerous fight for him because Keith Thurman is a guy with power too. We've never seen Ortiz get hurt or get hit flush, but I don't think that Ortiz is chinny, but we've never seen it tested yet. So I think that it's still a dangerous fight for him, but I also think it's a very winnable fight for him. I would like to see the Keith Thurman fight next year. It would be an entertaining fight, but I think that they need to play it safe. I think they need to get a few more tune-up fights before that. But I think that is a very potential fight that could happen next year. And I think that Vergil Ortiz is will be one of the top welterweights in the world. I do believe he's a very good fighter. He's a very special fighter. He's talented. He has good work ethic. He has a good training partner and a very good trainer in Robert Garcia. I think they need to still develop him as a fighter. I think he has good power. Obviously, he has great power. He has good boxing ability, but I think he needs to work a little more on his defense, and he needs to get more rounds in. He needs to get used to going the distance and not knocking everybody out. So I think a guy like Kavalauskas or Sergey Lipinets would be a good step-up fight before the Keith One-Time Thurman fight. But overall, looking forward to seeing Vergil Ortiz fight 4 times next year, if that is true, which I believe it is. because we've been seeing him in the ring a lot recently, and look forward to Vergil Ortiz in the future when he's one of the top welterweights in the world. Thank you for tuning in to Unbiased Boxing Talk, and we'll see you in the next episode.